Today I want to walk through a brief video of how to create an analytics machine learning model using data within our ThingWorx analytics builder. So I'm going to open up our analytics builder application, and as you can see I have no models built. Previously I'd shown you how to import data, so I have a couple data sets I've already imported. Again, you can import this data via flat files or connect it to your ThingWorx Foundation application to have your connected devices send over data and create data sets. So I'm going to create a new model for the prediction of a grinder failure. So I'm going to call this my grinder error. And to create the model is very straightforward. I'm going to pick my data set. I'm going to pick what goal. In this case, I have three different properties. All three of these represent error conditions on my coffee machine. So I'm going to pick those, and then I can pick or create filters to filter out which data is going to be used. And for my data set, I went ahead and created a filter to allow me to filter out and only use a subset of data for training records. And I'll show you how to do that. There's a create filter option right here. I'll create a new training filter. For my data, I had already populated a field within all of the data called record purpose. And I have most of the 98%, most of the data marked for training. So I'll include those records. And this filter will now only include records for training and ignore the records for scoring. In a future video, we'll come back and use these scoring records to actually generate predictive scores. So I've created my new training filter. It gives me information about which records are going to be included for the training of this model. The next thing I'm going to do is exclude features. Since I am predicting a grinder failure, I may know there's some features within my data set that really don't correlate at all. Of course, if I don't know that, I don't know anything about my data, I can run with everything. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and remove some of the features from the data set so they don't get considered. Latitude, longitude, region, for example, I think don't make any sense for this model. I'm also going to remove other goals for the pump and the heating element. I don't want to see any correlation between a pump failure and a heating element failure as the model is being created. So I've excluded those features out. Now at this point, all I would have to do to create the model is click submit, and that will submit and actually go run and train me a model based on those configurations I had set up. So that's our quick way by default to go create a model, hopefully pretty easy. I'm going to create a second model here just to show a little bit of our advanced capability for people that may have questions about this. And pardon my typing here. So using the same data set, the same goal, same filter, I will leave everything in this time. I'm going to jump over. We have our tab for advanced model configuration. This is where you have some additional control over the settings for the learners and the learning techniques that will be used to build your predictive model. Here's a few properties about the overall learning environment. Sorry for that, learning environment. And then what I wanted to show here is the learning techniques. By default, we set up 4 and do an elite average across those 4. If you want to configure this to be a specific learning technique or a specific combination of learning techniques, you can do that, and I'll show you quickly how to do this. For example, maybe in my case, I want to go through and only do a linear regression model. So if I add, there's an option to pick from our learning techniques that are available. You can pick from any one, and then once you have picked those, you have a few options. So I'm going to go ahead and use the defaults here, but pick one linear regression model. And that's going to add me one linear regression model. I will submit that, and this will be a slightly different model. So now I have 2 models that are being trained in the background, both with different learning techniques, but it'll give me a chance to take the same data, compare them against each other and see which of my models is better. And when they're complete, we'll take a look at some of the statistics around these models.